What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com bringing you a video today to share with you something that I've invented in regards to how you lace up your football boots slash soccer cleats. It's a better, or at the very least, a different way of doing so that actually does change not necessarily the fit and feel of your shoes when you initially tie them, but it maintains that initial tension, that initial feel throughout the entire playing session better than a traditional regular way of lacing your shoes up would offer, and I'm going to explain why that is in today's video. And what's also cool about this is that if you have a shoe with laces, or a football boot, I guess more specifically, you can do this 100% for free. All you have to do is lace them up a little bit different that I'll explain how to do in today's video. So all I ask from you guys is share your opinions on this, try it out on your boots, and let me know what you guys think. Let me know if it was positive, let me know if it was negative. I've tried this on all kinds of different shoes, and to my surprise, it actually does work quite well. So I figured I'd make a video sharing it with you. With that said, let's take a look at how it works. All right, so here is a look at the lacing setup that I've come up with the whole idea behind it being the concept of maintaining tension, not only when you initially tie them up, because you can get that from a regular lacing system, but throughout your entire playing session. So you can see I have 4 different shoes here as an example, an X16.1, which actually looks really cool on this shoe. You have the Superfly 5 here, which again, this is the same lacing setup, but because of the difference in the dual lace hole system, the one-piece design of the upper, the spacing of the lace holes, it makes the pattern look a little bit different from shoe to shoe. Here's an Evo Power Vigor 1, where it looks fairly unique as well. And then here's a more standard lacing setup in the form of a Nike Premier, where again, it looks different than the other 3 shoes here on the table. So depending on the implementation on your specific shoe, it's going to look a little bit different. So let me explain how this works. Like I said, maintaining tension is the concept here. So because of this more intricate pattern that you've created, where there's more laces, and the laces aren't just maintaining tension side to side, it's also going kind of on a diagonal, a 45-degree angle, you have more laces here, which means it's going to be much harder for that section to loosen up. Everybody's experienced this, and I'll show you using a regular lacing setup, is that you tie your shoes, you get them exactly the way you want them to feel. Sometimes it's a little bit tighter lower up, sometimes it's a little bit tighter in the midfoot, a little bit tighter higher up, a little bit tight all the way through. Everybody likes to feel the feel of their shoes a little bit different in regards to how they tie their laces, but everyone's experienced this. You tie your laces and you run around for 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, and eventually those laces have kind of lost their tension. It evens itself out across the entire lacing system where you don't have that same tension. It has a little bit of a sloppiness to it, even if your shoes haven't untied. And that's something that really, really bothers me. And the reason why this happens is because the lacing system is one single unit. And as this part loosens up, it's eventually going to loosen itself up all the way down because nothing's locked except for the knot at the very top, which is not ideal. The way this works is that you've essentially created a lock in the middle of the lacing system, which means you now have a smaller section below and a smaller section above to tighten and maintain the tension of. This center part here where you have all of these laces kind of intertwining, that's not going to loosen on you. It maintains its tension remarkably well. So because that's firmly locked in place, that means that below is going to be firmly locked in place, and you only have a little section at the top that you have to maintain the tension on, and because it's not going to loosen all the way down, it's going to stop at this point. It maintains its tension for the entire session, which allows the shoe to feel the same from the second you tie them up to the second that you decide to take them off, even while playing. And I think that's kind of the interesting aspect of this particular lacing system and why I think you should try it out. I know some people are going to have their opinions on how it looks, and I don't even think it looks all that great on certain shoes. Like, to me, this kind of looks awful. This kind of looks cool. It really depends on your opinion, and it will look different on every shoe, but it is essentially doable on every shoe, and it's completely free to do as well. As long as your shoe has a lacing system, there is a way of doing this. Let me explain how you can actually do it. So as complicated as it looks, it's actually really easy to do, and I'm going to show you using this Adidas X16.1. Keep in mind though, it's the exact same pattern regardless of the shoe, regardless of whether it has lace loops or lace holes or a dual lace hole setup. Exactly the same process, and you don't even have to fully unlace the shoes. You can leave the bottom part intact, just make sure that it's even at the end when you pull the 2 ends. Nonetheless, so you start normal at the bottom, and then from here you have some decision making to do depending on the depth of the lacing system. This is a fairly shallow lacing system, meaning there's not a lot of holes. So you technically would start the lace lock at the very bottom, which I'll show you how in just a second. If you have a deeper lacing system, you can start the lace lock a little bit higher up, depending on how you want to do it. With this shoe, we'll start it right at the bottom. So with this in place, all you have to do is take the one side and you skip the first lace position and you go to the second one. So from here, just slide that through, pull it like that, and it ends up looking just like this. Do the same thing on the opposite side. This is a mirrored pattern. There's no kind of special interchanges or anything like that, other than just pulling them through certain lace holes. So from here, that is the first step. You're basically halfway done at this point. From here, you're gonna take this lacing position and you're gonna go back to the one that you skipped over. So in this case, you're gonna start from the bottom, pull it through like this, and then pull it just like that. So that creates the first part of your lock, and then you're again going to mirror it on the other side by pulling it through this lace hole right here, just like that. And the lace lock is now 2/3 done. All you have to do from here on forward is just continue lacing the shoes as you would normally. So obviously, because that one's taken up, you're gonna skip to the next available one, which we have right here. So I'm just gonna pull that through like that. And you can see a lace lock is forming, and you do the exact same thing on the opposite side like that. And then from here, you're just gonna finish it off like that. And like that, and you now have a completed lacing system. So now, again, you have this lace lock in the middle with a section on its own at the bottom and a section on its own at the top. So this part will be very firmly secure, and because you have such small sections above and below the lace lock, it's going to be very difficult for those to loosen up. And again, you can vary this depending on the shoe. Even if the lacing system is deep enough, like I have right here, you can do 2 lace locks, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend. 1 is plenty. This isn't all that effective, but just as an example, it is entirely possible. And again, you can start the lace lock here, you can start the lace lock in this section. It is something that you can play around with just to see what works best for you and your specific shoes. I wanted to give you guys a look at how it actually is to lace these things up, because as you do this, you'll actually be able to feel the lock within the lacing system. So because you've laced them up a little bit differently, you wouldn't pull from the very first bottom lace hole when they're all loose. You actually pull it in the same pattern that you laced them up. So instead of pulling from here, you would pull from the second ones, and you can see that's gonna pull underneath. So you tighten that, then you go back down to where you threaded through the other laces. You pull that basically out like this, and you can see you got a pattern already developing, and it's very, very tight. It's difficult because you've gone up and then back down for this section to loosen on itself. From there, you go back up to here, and then you wanna pull that flat. So you can see you've developed a pretty intricate pattern within here, and because it's intertwined, because it's going up and down like this, it's really, really difficult for this to move. That's why it's kind of a lock system. And then from there, you just lace it up as you would, but you're gonna find that this section right here is not going to move. So instead of having a full section of one lace, you only have to maintain tension on these top 2 lacing positions, which is going to allow the shoe to stay a lot tighter in the long run as you wear them. So it's gonna tie that up, and you can get a look at both of them on feet. Again, the pattern's gonna look a little bit different depending on the shoe and depending on the laces as well, but it actually looks okay on the Superfly 5 as I have it right here. And the feel is a little bit different. This feels very, very secure where the lock is, and you'll find that the shoes stay tight for the entire 2-hour session versus loosening up after 20 or 30 minutes. All right, guys, so that is it for the lacing system that I've more or less come up with. Let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comment section, and feel free to try it out for yourself. Again, you can do this on pretty much any shoe, and it's 100% free to try out. So try it out and let me know what your experiences end up being down below in the comments. If you guys enjoyed today's video, found it helpful, informative, or at the very least interesting, be sure to support it with a like. That would be awesome. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.